not quite yet. And anyway, so I love that guy, and I know you do too, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But right now, we will talk to you and welcome you to ATI's Lunch Break with ATI. My name is Don Farrell. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of ATI, and thank you so much for spending some of your lunchtime with us. And we were going to originally have Rich Taylor as our guest, and he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so we wish you well, Rich, and get better soon, because I look forward to talking to you and getting to know you better and let everybody else know a little bit more about you as well in another episode. But in the interim, we've got Matt Snyder here, and I was going to talk to him a little, I think next week or the week after, something like that. But this guy he's ready to jump right into the hot seat, which is not going to be hot at all. No, I'm just so thrilled. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah, welcome to ATI here. And thank you, first of all, for those of you who don't know about Matt, he is a candidate for the Carmel City Council at large. And he's lived here in Carmel like forever. I think were you born here too?
I was.
You were born here. You went to Carmel High School. You got married here. You've got kids here. You've really, and he's been a board member with the Clay Township, Carmel Clay Township, and really, we're going to talk about some of these amazing projects that he has taken the helm on, working with the board and the city and everything, and making such great things happen for our community. So, on behalf of everybody in Carmel and really Indiana, thank you so much for all of your dedication, passion, and hard work.
Thank you.
For our community.
It's easy when you love where you live.
Yeah, isn't it? It's an easy sell. It's an easy sell. I love telling people about Carmel, and each time they go, they think I'm like, this little, utopia does not exist. And I was like, well, you just got to make a trip up to Carmel sometime and see what I'm talking about. And this guy helped make a lot of what we get to enjoy happen. So, you were the youngest. You were only 27 years old when you started with the township board in 2010. Is that right? Is that correct? I saw this on your thing, and I'm like, wow, the guy has been going at it ever since he was 27 years old, and you've really seen so much change over a period of time.
I have, and it has been at least that long. I think my first elected office, I was 25.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, serving the township for the last 12 years, I have gotten to see a lot of things change, and I can't really say much of it has been for the worse. It's all been phenomenal improvements, innovations, assets to this community. I mean, look what we've got. You can't argue with what's here.
No, and it's continuing to drive and attract more people to be here. What's of all of the years that you've been working on helping shape Carmel, what's the most exciting project that you've ever worked on?
Well, in 2019, we came up with what has now been called the Clay Township Impact Program. Mm-hmm. And because of a series of financial mechanisms, we wanted to do something big. And my fellow board members, Mary Eckert, Paul Bolin at the time, and Paul Hensel, who's now the trustee, mm-hmm. I think maybe thought I was a little crazy at first. I was like, well,
you got to be a little crazy, right? I mean, we all got to. The ideas have to come from somewhere.
I was like, well, I want to do this. Here are some needs.
Yeah.
And they all have to have some needs. One thing the township is very strict about is if we put taxpayer dollars into a capital improvement project, it has to be able to benefit everybody in Clay Township or the city of Carmel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Which is why we are so big on fire safety and Parks Department. Mm-hmm. Those are the 2 things that historically have been in the township's purview. So in 2019, we started developing this Clay Township Impact Program, which has been now like 26 projects.
Wow.
Almost every single fire department has been raised, rebuilt, or remodeled. The living conditions for these people that serve us were less than desirable. Mm. So in some cases, we had to build brand new. In some cases, we were able to remodel. And then the Parks Department, just in the last few years, over $30 million invested into the Reimagining Parks program. Mm-hmm. Every single park in Carmel has been touched by the township. And now our oldest park was the newest park when I got on the township board, which is Founders Park. So all those projects, I don't want to pick one, say it was my favorite, because they've all had their unique challenges and excitements, but the Carmel Clay building's been a phenomenal project to see unfold all the way from its inception. It was really important to all of us that the fire department needed more space. They needed administrative offices. Mm-hmm. So we didn't just want to build a municipal building. I think the general public gets scared of municipal buildings. We wanted something that would be inviting. So the fire department consumes the entire second floor. We took the original fire department that was there, which was Carmel's first. We took down brick by brick, saved all the bricks, cleaned all the bricks. They will go into a museum installation that the fire buffs will maintain on the south side of the building. Mm-hmm. And then it's all community space on the third and fourth floor. And on the north side of the first floor is what will be called the Corson Safe House, which during the day will teach kids fire safety, how to cross a roundabout, all sorts of public safety measures, and then will be usable by the public in the evening.
I love that. Both Founders Park, love Founders Park, and for those of you who saw me crazy Don during pandemic coming up with Farmer Fuddpucker chasing around my chippy, I let a lot of those chippies out at Founders Park. So if you enjoy the little critters some of them came from my backyard. But I love it because Founders Park during the times when everybody was locked in, for me, that was a nice sense of a place to just get away, feel safe, but also just enjoy the beauty of nature and find a good, peaceful place when all of us were struggling with so many different challenges and stresses that were added. I think that's universal, everybody was dealing with. So thank you for Founders Park. It's beautiful. My daughter also would play soccer practices there, and the trails are beautiful, and there's so many parks that you guys have been a part of and creating.
Do you remember when, I know you're friends with the Stark family, do you remember when Oak Hill sat on Founders Park?
Yeah. Oh, wait, is that where Oak Hill originally was?
Yeah.
No, I knew it was moved.
Because as a kid, I remember my parents driving me out on 116th Street there, and we pulled out lawn chairs and watched, I think it was Jim Steckley, moved the house from where Founders Park is now to where it is now, and then Bob's there, and the Stark family bought into it. And
well, I knew about the move. I know of it as where it currently is. But I always thought the idea of trying to envision that big mansion being moved anywhere, how that undertaking must have been immense.
Yeah, well, I was tiny at the time, but I can tell you, I bring that up because it leads me to outside your front door, you might see a 100-some-year-old building sitting on stilts. That is another project Clay Township is doing, which is preserving the history of Clay Township and building a new Carmel Clay Historical Society museum.
That's
beautiful. So it'll be a proper museum to house all of the city's archives, have where we came from, where we're going, and then we'll also have community space. And once that building's built, we'll bring the old original depot back and attach it to the building right where it was.
Oh, that's really cool. That'll be a neat.
And Jim Steckley
working on that one too.
Coordinated the move for us.
Oh, there you go.
That was my only point of reference was Oak Hill Mansion moving from Founders Park. So I called Jim Steckley. I said, hey, I need a building move. Can you help me out with this?
Yeah, he might have a little bit of experience with that. How cool is that? And then we were talking about the fire department where I was on a podcast on the Plaza a couple of weeks ago for their 100th anniversary, and Chief was there, and afterwards he said, I was like, how's it going? I've heard all this stuff. So he gave me a little tour, and I saw where it is right now in the process of it, and it's going to be amazing, you guys. It's going to be unbelievable, like what Matt's saying. And when I was there, I saw your dear friend, Bernie Killian, who is a dear friend of ATI's and mine. He and Jerry and all of those guys, we love them so much. And Bernie is a main player in working on that, right?
I've known Bernie for about 25 years.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back. To high school. Really, he was a huge mentor of mine, and we've stayed in touch, and we've done a lot of projects together.
Yeah.
And the contractors that built the Carmel Clay building did a phenomenal job. But in this one space, I didn't want the general trades trying to. No, I couldn't express my vision to anybody, but Bernie can pick out my words and would put it down on paper And I'd say, can we do this or this? And he eventually had this beautiful design, these drawings, and I mean, like thousands of little bricks in the walls, and went back to the township, and Dave Ford with CTI Construction is our owner's rep. I said, I don't want the general trades to do this room. I want to hire somebody in the theater, because this really is, in my opinion, a theatrical set. Everything from what's being constructed to the lighting is all from Indianapolis Stage. It's all.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So Bernie did the design and refined it over a couple of years. COVID got in the way, things slowed down. And then last October, picked up the phone and said, "You're on." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you didn't think you were just going to design the space, did you?" He goes, "You're going to build it too." And he got a bunch of folks from ATI, and they're actively working on it, and it looks gorgeous.
Well, I'm thrilled, and ATI, in an indirect way, is thrilled to be somewhat related to. I can't wait to see the end product. And if any of you who know ATI's work on stage, you've seen tons of the wonderful sets, in the ingenuity, the creativeness, the just the brilliance of who is Bernie Killian. And we are so honored that he is a part of the ATI family, and he has been for years. I mean, when we started here, we started originally, we were in 2005, we started working with Bernie, was that 2011, I think, maybe 2010 or early 11. And he just upped the product quality of what we do so much. And he's touched so many people's lives as well. He's an institution in the theater community, and in really, I think, in Carmel and Indianapolis markets, because he's touched countless students, and they've gone on to create cities and run and create and design things for television and film and major theaters nationally. And so it's always nice to talk about a dear friend who's so good, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to see the creation and the fruition, everything coming together for what Bernie has worked on for you guys. It's going to be really exciting. So Township Impact Program, really important. I mean, West Park, the Flowing Well Park, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I have friends of mine who say, go fill up the things for the Flowing Well. That's amazing. Meadow Oak Park, Cary Grove Park, the Japanese Gardens. There's so many projects that you guys have been. And you were president of the board for Janus Development Services.
Yeah.
Talk about that. That must have been an amazing experience as well. What a great group.
Janus is a phenomenal institution. They do so much good for so many people.
Yeah.
Not only do they have all of the services for the neuroatypical, really make, and I've got a number of friends that are struggling with this now. Once you're done with the school system, what do you do? And Janus provides that opportunity for meaningful work for people. I mean, it sometimes it's just something as simple as connecting a widget to a widget, but it's meaningful and it's important and it gives people purpose. And then the other faction of Janus is Hamilton County Express, which is the mass transit for Hamilton County and holds the charter for Tippin County as well, which nobody knows we've got mass transit, but we do. And anybody, you, me, anybody can call up Hamilton County Express, schedule a ride, they'll come pick you up, deliver you to wherever you need to go. And it really is a wonderful, wonderful organization.
Wow. I didn't know that. That is cool. What got you passionate about being into public service? What was the initial thing to get you in?
It was a high school history teacher of mine. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. I avoided him for government and took a government over the summer so I wouldn't have to take it with him. And I'm far enough removed now, I'll never forget, he shows up to like the third day of summer school and he goes, "Snyder, do you want to spend your summer in here and maybe eke out a C, or do you want to put a roof on my house and I'll give you a B?" I said, "Oh, I'll put a roof on your house." But I never. This Mr. Jim Garrettson, who's an institution at Carmel. He's one of the last town boards, first city councils. Really kind of spurred that giving back in me a little bit, and I think he saw something in me, and He had introduced me to another gentleman named Fred Swift, another institution in Carmel. I quite literally one of the founders of Carmel back in the day with the city of Carmel, with Jane Ryman and that whole group of people. They would they said, hey, why don't you show up at this event? And then it would be, hey, by the way, you're speaking. And I was at age 22, I'd be, what am I speaking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know where we are. And get up there and talk. And that really kind of feeling the audience, pulling people, finding what they liked and didn't like, because once you speak, then everybody wants to give you their opinion, which is important. Mm-hmm. And hearing all these opinions and then hearing things that concerned me made me want to figure out what I can do. Mm-hmm. And that's when, at the time, Doc Dillon, who had been a long-time board member at the township, was stepping off, and those two guys said, "You're going to run." I said, "Do I have a choice?" And they said, "No." And that's.
Well, they definitely saw the potential and the gift that you've been given towards that, and why I'm a firm believer that we all are given everybody's given different gifts from personally on a higher level, and it's when we choose not to use our gifts for the betterment of the good of everybody. And that's where it's like, oh man, that's a shame. So it's good that you're using your gifts that they saw early on for the betterment of the community. So we appreciate that. What when you've been talking about, you were hearing stuff back from people, and you continue to hear things back from people these days today. What would you say would be the three big things that you go, wow, this keeps coming back? This is what seems to be resonating a lot with your constituency.
At the present, public safety is really high, which I can say that from the township perspective, we are only able to assist the fire department. We've got the #1 fire department in the world by every measurable metric.
Wow.
Wow. The same can be said about our parks department, to the point where we can't even apply for awards anymore because we win everything. It really is the best parks department in the world, with the best parks director, Michael Klitzing, and Rich Taylor as parks board president. Yeah. But it's public safety. People are starting to get a little concerned about congestion in the city. I think there needs to be a hard and fast study on what is that right number, what is the right amount of development. I absolutely love development. We never want to slow that down, mm-hmm. But what is the right type, and making sure that our infrastructure stays up with it. It's really not so much the development, but making sure the roads and arteries, and kind of retraining people that downtown Carmel is not the thoroughfare anymore. It is an urban environment. It's a walkable environment, mm-hmm. And it's a great place to be.
Yeah.
So I think just being cognizant of that and trying to not find solutions for problems that aren't there, but making sure that the concerns that people have about these are addressed, and, mm-hmm. and that there's data to back up. Here's the surge of people into the central district. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And then I never want to forget people on the west and east side of Carmel, because we're all one community. And I think that having this downtown, I've always said one high school keeps a community together. Now, as we have so many people that didn't go to Carmel High School, we're up to 106,000 people now. What is that unifying thing? And really, I do think it is Midtown. But we can't forget about everybody else in it. We want to be able to bring people here and have a wonderful experience, not just for residents of Carmel, but for our guests and visitors.
Mm-hmm. And we're drawing visitors from all over the world, really. It's pretty impressive, the stats that are coming in. Definitely those events that we have, whether it's Carmel Fest, people coming in for that, whether it's Chris Kennel Mart and all the stuff that happens for the holidays. And even I think they're just now dismantling, is it today or was it yesterday when they're starting to dismantle the ice skating rink? Yeah. And how much fun that was. And speaking of the ice, and you're such a big, with the fire department, I was at Podcast Plaza and watching the police and the fire go at it, man. That's fun, but all in good spirit, goodwill, and fun little razzing each other a little bit here and there. But what great, it's really a good testament to the fire department, the police department, the road services, the parks department. It's really an amazing community here. What would you say sets you apart from your other candidates in your, that you have going on with everything?
Well, I'd say being
kind of what we've talked about a little bit, I think, but I don't know.
I've got the experience. I mean, I've done this. I've done the municipal governance. I think I've done a great job. I've always kept my fellow Carmelites in mind with every decision. I think that seeing what Carmel was 40 years ago and what it is now gives me a lot of institutional look back and makes me confident that we have been and are on the right track. I would say those are the things, and just my ability to listen, learn, and find innovative ways. You showed me a sign in your office that I absolutely love. I don't want to hear how things can't happen.
That's right.
Let's figure out how we can make things happen.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Tip the dad. That's a sign. He was above his desk, and now it's above mine. It says, "I'm not interested in how the job can't," underline twice, be done. I'm not interested in how the job can't be done. It can always be done if we just all work together and come to a solution. And that's one of the things I love the most is those moments of brainstorming sessions and spitballing ideas, because where you come in at the beginning, you may have, I've got it all figured out. No. Once you add other people in, it's going to be even better when you have everybody else's input in that. And also buy-in, and then everybody moves it all forward.
And that's important. Right? Buy-in is critical. I mean, nobody wants anybody throwing something down someone's throat.
No. Yeah.
And if you can't get buy-in, that probably isn't worth doing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, what's something most people don't know about you?
Well, I would say very few people know that I came up through the arts.
Yeah. How has the arts impacted? Well, obviously, you're talking about with Bernie, and seeing that from a theatrical standpoint in that interactive for the Carmel Fire Department.
I'd tell you the arts to me is critical for anybody's development, and I think, and I don't have anything to back this up with, but I think the problem, number one, is getting people to go see shows, go see good shows, because we grow up. Now, Carmel would be the exception to this rule, but everybody grows up and their theater is reading Shakespeare, which, unless you can live and feel and be surrounded by Shakespeare, is not engaging to most people. But getting people in front of a real stage with a proper crew and proper lights and proper sound and being immersed in that is so critical to the lifelong love for theater. And that's what Carmel does really well, because they got such a phenomenal arts program, but people coming in that may not, they know their local high school play and that's all they've ever known of theater, is sad. And I think that engagement, getting them in, because once you see a good show, you're in for life. And I was actually, I'll tell you how I met Bernie. I was walking out the door one day at Carmel High School, and I think I had my Letterman's jacket on. I mean, I was a jock, and there was this shelf like in a shop. I didn't even know why I was in this part of the building. And I just kind of fixed it a little bit. And then Bernie says something to me, and he says, "Well, here, do you want to fix it right?" So we pull it off, and drills and screws, and we fix this thing. He puts it back up, and I stopped back in it either the next day or the following day. And I said, I enjoyed doing that. And he goes, "You want to do more?" And I said, "Well, what is this place?" And he goes, "Well, this is the theater shop." And I said, "Theater? I can't be seen in here, right?" I don't think I ever left the theater after that day.
Is that right?
And then once I heard like music and then tap dancing and the orchestra and band, and it just moved me in such a way that I wanted my life to kind of follow that. And I do. I mean, my wife will tell you, if we don't go see a show in New York in an 8-month span, there's something wrong.
How did you and your wife meet?
We met downtown on the Circle. Actually, it's met at the Starbucks. It's no longer there. I was running late for a meeting. I was at the Columbia Club, and their coffee was crap. So I ran across the Starbucks, and there was this lady in front of me ordering something overly complicated. And I, being my charming self, said, "Can you hurry up?" And
I bet that went over well.
It went over horribly. And she turned around and had this. My wife's got the best smile, and immediately I backpedaled. I said, I'm sorry. I ended up not going back to the meeting I was in, and we chatted and had a date probably less than a week later, and that was 10 years ago.
Wow. And now you guys are the proud parents of
5-year-old Charlie and 4-year-old Benjamin.
how awesome. How has parenthood changed or affected you in how you do what you do?
Well, less time.
Yeah.
No, it
Because that's a life-changing moment.
it is. It is.
You know, and there's such.
Fortunately, from the municipal standpoint, children are really well taken care of. I mean, we've got a great school system. We got great preschool, schools, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So decisions made at the municipal level, unless you have the argument you're putting them in debt for the future, which I would argue tooth and nail that Carmel is financially great, but hasn't changed a whole lot. One of our impact programs at the township was the new field house, Badger Field House. Now it's called
Good old Jack Badger.
Yes.
And his, named after his son, Badger Fields, and yeah.
So we built this full-size indoor soccer track, 4 basketball courts, and
that's over there right off of
131st.
130. I need to go there. My
That's
daughter
right.
was played soccer for Dad's club, but then when that thing is built, so that was you guys working on that?
Yeah, so the township built that.
Wow.
And the reason we did, because it was, some people brought up, well, why would you build a facility for an institution that's not government? Well, number one, Carmel Dad's Club impacts more children than any other institution in Carmel, with the exception of school systems. And number two, it's not just for the Dad's Club. It was built for Carmel Clay Parks as well. They have an awesome management agreement. So if Dad's Club operates half the year, the parks operate half the year. So
awesome.
The way the timing is, the Dad's Club can do all their basketball indoor stuff through the winter, and then the parks use it for their summer programming.
I'm not interested in how the job can't be done, right? There's a perfect example of that.
That's right.
That's awesome. I love that. Congratulations. That's awesome. I can't wait to get over there and see that. I remember the talk about it being built, but I never have seen the.
Well, then it's also, and I don't remember the actual hours, but it's open to the public in the mornings for like senior silver sneakers program, or anybody just wants. It's a lousy day, you can go and just run the track or walk the track. So.
Well, that is cool. Are there any other? We're coming up towards the end of this. Is there anything else you would like people to know about Matt Snyder that maybe they don't get a chance to know, but coming from you, this is important for them to know about you?
I'm probably, as far as we were talking earlier about the political world, I'm probably about the worst politician in the way that I don't mince my words. I'm pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. I do think that compromise leaves both parties suffering, but you end up with a better product in the end. And
I wish more people would do that, because I think it's always that idea of party over the people.
Right.
They're not looking for remember, we're all here regardless. I'm not trying to, but regardless, we're here to serve. And I believe my essence that everybody, regardless of what party you're in, I think we all really want the same end result. It's just how we get there sometimes, you know? And that's one of the things I love about local politics, is it doesn't get into all those other hot button issues.
Well, none of that nonsense belongs at the municipal level. That's not how you govern.
No.
That's not how you govern a community.
And it's interesting how some people will try to push things on the national level scale and say, but it's a different world here. This is what we're talking about: streets, we're talking about parks, we're talking about safety, we're talking about
real things, tangible things that are seen, and things that aren't bloated with bureaucratic garbage that you see where your tax dollar exactly goes in Carmel, Indiana.
Right.
And I love that. And I'll continue to do that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending time on your busy schedule here. And last minute too, Rich, I hope you feel better, buddy. Hope you feel better. We'll get you in here in the future when you feel better. But best of luck to you. And thanks so much for spending some time with us on Lunch Break with ATI. We'll see you next Wednesday at 12 noon for another episode. And you guys have a wonderful week, and do something nice for each other out there, all right? See ya.